Bhashya Prabhupada ki jai. When the living entity becomes free from false ego, he understands his superior position as a spirit soul, part and parcel of the pleasure potency of the Lord. Thus, due to Brahman, even while sleeping, the living entity can enjoy. The Lord says, that Brahman, that Paramatma, and that Bhagwan are myself, are I myself. This is noted by Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krama Sandarbha. Om Agyan Timinandasya Gyan Anjan Shalakaya Chakshur Unmiltam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रियै. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. नमामि विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामने. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Know me to be the Supreme Brahman, the all-pervading Super Soul, through whom the sleeping living entity can understand his dreaming condition and his happiness beyond the activities of the material senses. That is to say, I am the cause of the activities of the sleeping living being. Yeah, so we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Prescribed Duties for the Mankind, Chapter 16, which is called as
King Chitraketu
Chitraketu means the Supreme Lord.
means the Supreme Lord. Who is speaking this verse?
The Lord is speaking, Anantadev. Krishna.
Yes, Lord. Yeah, thank you. So Lord Anantasha is speaking, continuing from what we studied yesterday, that there are different kinds of consciousness that a living entity has. When the living entity is in the conditioned state, the consciousness is, yes, do you remember? Deep sleep, dreaming, and wakefulness. What are the consciousness? Deep sleep is Shushupti. Dreaming is
Swapna.
Sapna. And wakefulness is Jagrati. And and then when the living entity is in touch with the spiritual self, that consciousness is called as
Turiya, no?
Turiya. Yes. So so Krishna and Prabhupada was explaining that how this conditioned consciousness is a dream, whether we are dreaming when we are sleeping or when we are awake and identifying ourselves with the gross identification. Both are dream. How it is dream? It is dream because there's still activity going on, right? How it is dream? It is dream in the sense that it is it has no eternal value or position, and it is temporary. Okay, we're not saying it is false. It's a dream. Like in the dream, there is explained that we can see so many objects nearby: mountain, river, tree, bees, everything can be nearby. But when one just gets up and looks around, there is nothing like that, right? So it's lasted only until the dream lasted. Like that, my identification with the material elements last only until this body lasts, and then I change. And this change is perpetual, and it is compulsory. It's not something that we can choose that I don't want to change unless one is willing to enhance one's consciousness in a spiritual realm of existence. Now, in this particular purport and translation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is basically saying that it is through the mercy of the super soul in the heart that a living entity who is sleeping in the lap of the material energy can understand its sleeping and dreaming condition. That's number one. But then beyond that, can also understand that there is a activity beyond the material senses. There is a realm of happiness beyond this material senses. And all this intelligence is coming from the super soul. So Krishna also says this in Bhagavad Gita, right? That Krishna gives the intelligence, he gives the memory, What is that verse?
ददामि बुद्धियोगम्
ज्ञानमपोहनं च
Tasmati.
वैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यः
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि
हृदि
Correct.
मत्ता
स्मृतिज्ञानम् अपोहनं
Vedeshcha sarve ahameva vedya.
58.15.
वेदान्तविद् वेदकृतेव च
Vedavit eva cha aham. So the super soul in the heart. So if we are understanding a little bit of what has been explained here, then we must know that this is not coming from external. It is coming from the super soul which is sitting inside my heart with me. It's kind of giving me some sort of shaking and remembrance and intelligence, and also the memory on a on the daily basis, minute to minute base, that why am I getting so entangled in something which I am not really. Once I think it was now Minister Prabhu was explaining that if we go and preach this to people who are suffering, all of us are suffering, but like apparently like four kinds of suffering. Let's say somebody's suffering from a very ill physical illness, medical problem, like is very like hospitalized or has a ill health, and it's been ages. So the body is connected to the mind. The mind will definitely feel sad and depressed because the body is not capable to meet the demands of the mind. Right? He said, imagine that you go and preach this to that person that you're actually not the body, you're actually not the mind, you're actually the soul, then nothing is going to happen to the soul. How happy that life will become. That actually I still have a meaning. Actually, the meaning of my life was not to just go around and collect the objects of sense gratification. No, actually, the life's goal was I become conscious of who I am, and then I become conscious of who I am, and I also direct that consciousness in the service of the Supreme Lord, which is not dependent on external factor. It is a very high level. I'm not saying that when I get sick or then I feel like, okay, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. But at least having that theoretical knowledge is a leverage over anybody who does not even have this knowledge. Because material energy is always pulling a conditioned soul down. You know how this is Urdhva Mula Madhu Shakham, right? The spiritual energy is always elevating. We always feel light, we always feel refreshed, we always feel like available, we always feel like I can do so many things, so much activities. But material energy is always pulling a conditioned soul down, down, tired, exhausted. Which is that verse in first canto Srimad Bhagavatam, where Prabhupada explains the pa, fa, ba, bha, ma. Like he explains these syllables, right? That these pa, fa, ba, bha, ma, that which explains the tiredness or pulling down of a living entity in the material world. That how there is this identification with the body, which leads to dual existence, which leads to fear. Fear leads to working hard to maintain oneself, and that leads to exhaustion, and exhaustion leads to foaming of the mouth. Okay, so this sequence is explained in our scriptures. So a person who is not in Krishna consciousness will not have a choice. Okay, but a person who is even trying to be Krishna conscious will always have a choice that what do I want to choose. I'm not saying it's going to be easy to make a choice, but at least one will be theoretically aware that I have a choice. Now, this particular problem has come in front of me, so what do I do? My Gurmaj yesterday was caught up in that Bombay Pune expressway. There was a traffic jam. Yeah.
about
Anyone?
15 hours traffic jam. It was standstill yesterday.
How many hours?
Almost 15 hours, Mataji.
No, he said 29 hours. He was stuck in.
Might be at some places, but there was a truck which fell down.
Yeah. So my Gurmaj was going to get the flight to Mayapur from Bombay, and then he was caught. So, we're waiting to hear back. So, how there were attempts made to rescue him from the road, but when ultimately everything was not materializing, he just said, just pray. He sent a message out that, don't make plans to be happy in the material world, because anything can go wrong at any time. Anything can go wrong at any time. Just pray. Just pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when something comes like this, and one time before, he had mentioned that he was at Heathrow Airport in London, and it was after COVID, and everyone was madly traveling. The airports were like crowded, like so it was like mismanaged, crowded. So he said he thought that there is no way that he can, get out of the security line to make it to the flight. So what do you do? A person who is not in Krishna consciousness will become very panicked. What do you do? He said he saw that, what can I do? He said he simply took out his chanting bag and started chanting Hare Krishna. What can you do? At least I can do, what I can do is chant Hare Krishna. So such is the leverage. And of course, then suddenly there was a person who worked at the airport who knew my Guru Maharaj from the temple, and who actually, took him to the back corridor. But anyway, that's not the aim of chanting Hare Krishna. But the point is that what can you do if you're in a situation like that? What can I do if I'm in a situation like that? We can chant Hare Krishna. We can actually always get connected to our eternal constitutional position, and not in theory, but in practice. Theoretically, we can go on talking, but it's not gonna change anything in the life. It's not gonna bring about a revolution in my life. I can be living a dual life. That'll be even more horrible, like doing something, saying something, showing something. No, a Krishna conscious person has alignment in on all existences, personal, professional, wherever. It's the same thing. We're serving Krishna. We're serving the order of the spiritual master. That is why, even if the fear or the concern comes, oh, I might not be able to do, I might fail. The reminder is that I am just going to try to serve, because this is a service. Okay, because this particular situation is a dream, in the sense that it only lasts at this particular moment. It's not going to last eternally. It's not going to have any standing in the future time. And that intelligence is given by the super soul to the soul. And with the intelligence, one needs mercy, one needs determination, enthusiasm, association. Today's Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's disappearance, is it there too?
Appearance,
Yes,
Devata.
fasting till noon. Appearance. Appearance.
Yes, Mataji.
Avirbhav.
Yes,
It's very nice. You see, we are so indebted to Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, in the sense he was called as a lion guru, right? So he brought about so many revolutionary changes in our in the practice of Krishna consciousness across the globe. So he was one of the first acharyas in our sampradaya who actually challenged the sahajiya sampradayas, or the reflection, or the not so, what do you say, not so bona fide sampradayas going around, which only talk about the rasa leela of Krishna and nothing else. And then he had to face a lot of dangers. It was not easy. Bengal was filled with people like that at the time, and there was a plan to actually kill him. And the Smarta Brahmins, so called, they actually bribed the police officer of that particular place in Bengal where Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada was saying, and the police officer told those people that yes, it is a fact that we do take the bribe and commit things like this, but we cannot do it for a sannyasi. And the police officer was little pious, so he came to Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada and told him to watch out for his life, because there are these people who are trying to kill him for what he's doing in terms of Krishna, spreading Krishna consciousness in a very straightforward manner. So Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada was at the time living with his Grahastha disciple. So what he had to do was he had to actually wear his Grahastha disciples' clothes, the white clothes, and escape from the village. So you see, it's not that he was afraid of dying, but then it's not something. The purpose of the purpose was not fulfilled. So we are actually indebted to our acharyas who have forsaken their lives, forsaken so much for giving us what we have in our hands. But let's not misuse it. Okay, this is a legacy given to each one of us in a very personal manner, because we can realize Krishna personally. Personally, we can do it. So understand that what is the meaning of the dream doesn't mean it's false. It means this does not have an eternal standing. It is temporary. And also understand that the intelligence about what is what, meaning what is a dream and what is not a dream, comes from the super soul in the heart. And that super soul is realized as Paramatma, Krishna, is a Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Okay, and if we remain dedicated, if we remain determined, then we can actually tap into the happiness which is beyond the realm of these material senses. I remember when we used to chant, now people used to ask us, "Do you get the taste on your tongue?" I'm like, taste on your tongue just by chanting a mantra? But if you sit with Navanishra Prabhu, he's like filled with that rasa, filled with the taste on his tongue. He used to ask us every time we would see him, he would ask us, "Yes, you're chanting. Yes, you're getting the taste on your tongue." So he actually knew what it is to like chant a Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Even if I don't know if you go to him now, if he'll still ask, "Do you get the taste on your tongue when you chant the Hare Krishna, the sweet taste?" I think I'll stop here. Any questions?